Hey guys, how's it going? This is Pixel Freaks. We're going to be taking a look today on The Long Dark from Hinterland Games. This is available on Steam and the Xbox One on the game preview program. In fact, this was one of the first games to be released on the Xbox One's game preview program. So, and I guess it's in like early access on Steam at the moment. But yeah, both similar sort of thing. You'll pay for the game, but you'll only have access to a couple of different modes at some point whilst it's in this sort of beta mode. And then when the game's fully released, obviously, of course, you'll get access to the full game at no extra charge. But you're essentially sort of contributing to the game's development in a way by giving like feedback and things. But yeah, less of that. This is The Long Dark. Let's take a look. So as you can see, it's the sandbox alpha at the minute, but it has got that challenge mode as well, which came quite recently, I think. So when you enter the sandbox mode, you've got to choose your difficulty level. You've got Pilgrim, which is for beginners. It's just wildlife won't attack you, that's the main thing. Unless they're provoked, wolves won't just run at you and try to eat you. Then you got the Voyager one, which is like an intermediate one, which is what I'll go for at the moment. And then Stalker, which is super difficult. I haven't even tried that one because honestly it's hard enough even on the beginner mode. But I'll go for the intermediate one for a bit of fun. We've got different regions to choose from. Obviously there's more coming soon. At the moment you've got 3 different maps to choose from. So, 4 maps to choose from, sorry, 5 maps to choose from. I'm going to go to the Mystery Lake because this tends to be like the beginner one. Well, it's a balanced one. And you choose between your character, you've got male and female. So that's it, boom, give it a name, and you're about to get plonked in the middle of nowhere to see how long you can take it. A mysterious geomagnetic storm has brought your plane crashing down into the northern Canadian wilderness.
How long can you survive?
Oh. Where am I? Mom? 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 So yeah, you're dumped right in the thick of it. Right in the wilderness. Random drop, you have no idea where you are. It's freezing cold. There's no messing around. They don't like try and warm you up by, you know, placing you in a cabin. Unless you're lucky, you might land in a cabin because it is random drops that wherever you land is completely random. But on this occasion, my first time playing it, I landed in the middle of a blizzard. So I needed to find somewhere to warm up, and quick. So you can just press start at any point so that you can monitor your health and important attributes quickly, which is a nice touch. And it is needed because these can change quickly at any given time, depending on the weather or whatever. So it's nice that you can keep an eye on them quickly without having to go into menus and things. These will just pop up on your HUD. So you can see whether you're warm or cold, whether you're tired, whether you need food or whether you need water. And those are the main things really that you need to be able to keep an eye on at all times. And it tells you the temperature outside, your current condition, whether you've got any broken bones, that means, and things like that, whether you're bleeding or whatever. And how many calories you've got stored. And you can also see like the amount of hours daylight you've got left, which is also really important. You need to be able to see that, because things get even more difficult at night, and I'll go into that a bit more later. But I don't want to bore you with too many of the details because there is a lot to cover. Just starting a fire, for instance, you have to have like wood, matches, and accelerants such as fuel and tinder to get the fire started. All of these you'll find scattered around. Like wood, for example, you can grab from fallen branches, and you can break the branches up with your hands, or to speed up the process you can get like hatchets that you'll find as well. And that'll allow you to break up bigger things and furniture that you'll find lying around. And that's just making a fire. There are things like eating. You might find cans of food that you can break open with your hands, but if you use your hands you'll lose half the food that's in it in the first place. So you can find a tin opener to open the can of food more efficiently and get more food out of it. You can choose to cook it, or you can eat it raw. If you cook it, it will be better for you, you'll get more out of it. Things like you can, when you get to the point of finding a gun, you can actually go hunting and hunt for food that way, but you can't eat the meat raw. You can, but if you do, you'll likely find yourself ill. So you have to cook it, and yeah, just surviving is a real chore. Not in a bad way, it's just that you have to constantly be monitoring your inventory and tracking what you've got that's too heavy that you could lose, what's important to you, because that's one of the things is in your inventory you've got a certain amount you can carry. I think I could start with 30 kilos in my backpack. You can carry more, but if you've got more than that, kind of like Elder Scrolls games you might be familiar with, where you'll become over encumbered and you can move, but you can walk at a slow pace, and that's really draining, because if you're out in the cold and you need to get somewhere, you're not going to get anywhere quick with loads of stuff in your backpack. So you have to find a way of carrying the right things at the right time in your backpack, depending on your condition. So if you're freezing cold, you need to be having a lot of wood and stuff to make a fire in your backpack. Or if you're hungry, then you always need food in your backpack and drink, that sort of thing. But certain things are heavier than others, so do you really need a hunting rifle? Those are the sort of choices you have to make. I don't want to go too far into that. But you really do get a sense of survival, and you really feel that constant struggle to stay alive. And that's what a survival game is all about. It's what it should be about. They've really hit the nail on the head. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I imagine they'll be bringing more with the story mode. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be doing with the story mode. It's going to be an episodic style game. I have no idea at the minute. They haven't really released much information on what that's going to entail, but I'm really excited to see what the story mode is going to bring. But the sandbox alone is quite addictive, actually. I found myself playing for a session, then I'd die, I'd put it down, but then I'd come back to it the next day, and so on and so on. It's one of those games I had to keep picking up. There was a moment actually where I was playing and I felt they really captured that sort of essence of a survival experience. And that was when I found this little log cabin and I completely ransacked it for supplies, so I had to get moving, because in the long dark, log cabins and places where you'll find these sort of supplies, they're few and far between. They're quite hard to find. So when you do leave one place to find another, you have to make sure you're stocked up and you're all sorted in terms of like your stats. You need to make sure you're rested and you're not hungry or thirsty or cold or anything like that. So I was all sorted, I ransacked that place and I left off to go and find somewhere else. So I just sort of headed north and kept on walking. And I did that for about half hour in real time. And I started getting cold, hungry, tired. Shit was starting to turn sideways, so I needed to do something about it quick. And then, yeah, after about half hour in real time, I saw this cabin in the distance. I was like, yes, found somewhere. Walked to it, and it was the same cabin I'd just come from about half hour ago. I'd ransacked it already. So I was screwed because there was nowhere around with any supplies. And I don't know if you've seen that movie called The Edge. It really felt like that. That's what they do in the film. They sort of start somewhere and then they end up circling and start doing a complete circle. And that's what I did in Long Dark. I just did one complete circle without even knowing it. Ended up in the same place. And I died not long after. Although it was frustrating as hell that I died, that's when I figured this game was tough and it was proper survival. Now I've mentioned the inventory bag and that you only get a certain weight allowance before you become over encumbered. I personally felt they were too strict on the amount of items you can carry. You really easily overweigh yourself. Just another 10 kilos allowance in your bag would just fix it. And it wouldn't take away from the fact that it's still hard, because you don't want it to take it away from that. After all, it's meant to be a survival game. And I get that. It's just the amount that you can carry that they've set is just a bit too strict. You need to let off the reins just a little bit. Another 10 kilos would do no harm, because at the moment you constantly find yourself over encumbered, and that means you can't run, you're just walking at a really slow pace, and it makes it boring actually. Let me know if you disagree. If you think it's fine the way it is, then leave us a comment, but personally, just add another 10 kilos, that'll fix it. Also, another thing they need to fix is the lack of a jump button. I have no idea why they would not include the ability to jump. There's so many times where you'll be scaling mountains or you just need to jump over an obstacle, and why they haven't included that is beyond me. So fix that please, put a jump button in. Oh, and another thing, I swear the main character must have some sort of brittle bone disease, because if you fall from the littlest of heights, you'll break a leg. Seriously, just a little drop, you'll fall and it'll be like, ah, my leg. It's so annoying. Talking about annoying, look how dark it is. I know it's called the Long Dark and there is no electricity or anything, but it's too dark sometimes when the sun goes down and you're in a cabin, or even if you're outside, but mainly when you're in a cabin or something, you're screwed because it's so dark you can't see anything. But there are things for that. Of course, you find these storm lanterns that you can light so that you can actually see what's in front of you. You can light matches even for even the faintest bit of light. You can light flares. But with the lack of items you can carry in your backpack, you've got no room for that and everything else. You can't carry like storm lanterns and flares and stuff, so you're going to find yourself unable to see. So much so that at times it's just a walking blind man simulator. In fact, I think it's light outside at the moment. It's actually daylight, so you can imagine how dark it would be at night when there's no light coming through the windows at all. So let's have a quick look at the challenge mode before we end. You've got 2 challenges at the minute, one of which is to fire off like a flare at a peak, and the other one is you have to essentially escape a bear attack. You're face to face with the bear right at the start. You have to escape it, heal yourself, and you have to kill the bear. But you can only do that with a certain weapon, so that's the point. You have to try and find that weapon and go back and kill the bear. So it's really savage. You're getting mauled by this bear. It's just like The Revenant. If you haven't watched The Revenant, go and watch it before you play this. Or The Edge as well. Watch The Edge or The Revenant before you play The Long Dark, because they share a lot of similarities, and especially on this game mode. So this bear's really screwed me over. I've got major blood loss and I'm at risk of infection. So you have to quickly, while the bear is still walking away, he's just screwed you over, but he's sort of left you to die. So you have to quickly fix yourself up. You're going to last about a minute before you end up dying of blood loss. So you need to find a bandage and something to treat the wound quickly. That's your first major priority to get sorted. And once you've got yourself sorted, you've got to go out and find this certain gun to go back and take revenge and kill the bear. Easier said than done though. I mean, they tell you the name of the place where the gun is stored, but you have no idea where it is, because you don't have a map, which is another thing they need to sort out. If they put a map in the Long Dark, not necessarily one straight away in your pocket, but you should be able to find a map somewhere that you can reference to when you get lost. For instance, this game mode, it tells you to go to a certain creek or whatever to find the gun, but it's useless. You have no idea where that is. And the maps are just too big to be exploring for hours and hours trying to find this place when you've got no clue as to where it might be. So I think they could look at that, maybe put a map in to show you roughly where to go, or the names of places or whatever. Or if you're not going to do that, then just don't put missions in telling us to go somewhere to find the gun when we've got no idea where that is. So unfortunately I didn't actually finish this challenge mode because I spent hours on it, couldn't find the gun at all no matter where I went, because it's hard enough as it is trying to survive, let alone, you know, wandering around aimlessly trying to find some gun that's apparently somewhere in this vast map. I do sound like I'm bitching a lot. I don't mean to bitch too much, because I do like this game a lot and it's got such potential, and I'm going to keep playing it. I do really like it, and some of you might say that I'm looking for them to make it too easy, and I shouldn't be, because it's survival, it's meant to be hard. But well, yeah, I do want it to stay challenging, but it's just things they could improve on and tweak just a little bit that wouldn't destroy the balance, and it would just make it a little bit more fun to play, that's all. I haven't gone to in quite as much detail as I'd like to have done in this game preview. I do quite like to keep my videos short, and it's kind of difficult in this game. In fact, I found it more difficult than ever to keep this video short, just because of the sheer amount of things you have to do on a daily basis to stay alive. There's so much to it, so much to everything. Things such as repairing your clothes, you can make weapons, you have to maintain your weapons, even things like your rifle, you have to clean it or else it's going to break down. You have to harvest cloth and then use that to repair your clothes, or else they're going to break down and you're going to get it cold. You have to constantly keep enough food and drink sources on you. There's just so much to cover. And it'd be nice to leave that stone unturned for perhaps yourselves to discover. Because in fact that's probably the most enjoyable part of the Long Dark, at least for me. Is the looting, the salvaging items, and finding little treasures in cabins and things that will really help you. You might come across a gun, you might come across whatever, but the point is, it's always fresh because it's randomly generated. The items are never in the same place, you'll never play the same exact game twice. So you can come back and it'll always have that element of discovery and surprise. So to sum up, despite a little bit of bitchiness, I actually really enjoy the Long Dark. And it's got so much potential, especially with the story mode coming. They just need to tweak a couple of little things, but still, I absolutely love it. And it was like £10 when I bought it, and it's absolutely worth the money. I definitely recommend it, but I can't give it a rating because it's not a review. I'll definitely do a game review on this when it comes out. It's supposed to be out end of the year, so look out for the Long Dark. So I can't give it a out of 10 rating, but it's promising and it's looking good.